I think more shock and dauntingness was more the feeling I felt. But it was, the thing is, it's, I think I was on such a high anyway.
The stately silence of Buckingham Palace was shattered when news broke across the British media that Parliament had initiated proceedings to strip Queen Camilla of her royal title. It was a move as unprecedented as it was seismic, signaling a sudden and forceful shift in the undercurrents of royal power and British politics. The catalyst for this extraordinary development came in the form of newly uncovered evidence that, according to sources close to the investigation, implicated Camilla Parker Bowles, now Queen Camilla, in what is being described by many as a covert operation related to the death of Princess Diana. The phrase "inside job" was no longer confined to the murky shadows of conspiracy forums. It had entered the halls of British governance. Before we start, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more updates. The reaction from Queen Camilla was immediate and explosive. Eyewitnesses inside the palace described an emotional outburst marked by anger, disbelief, and accusations directed toward members of Parliament, the press, and even senior palace aides. According to those present during the outburst, Camilla's demeanor oscillated between volatile indignation and desperate pleading. She reportedly stormed through corridors, throwing aside protocol and composure in an attempt to confront Charles directly. The Queen Consort, who for years had maintained a public image of calm dignity in the face of relentless scrutiny, was now unraveling in full view of the institution she had fought to become a part of. The root of this implosion lies in decades-old wounds that have never fully healed. Princess Diana's death in 1997 marked a profound rupture in the relationship between the monarchy and the British people. While the official narrative declared it a tragic accident in a Paris tunnel, the undercurrents of doubt never fully receded. For years, theories abounded that Diana's death was not merely the result of a reckless chase by paparazzi, but part of a larger, more insidious scheme. Camilla's role, always whispered about but never proven, was thrust violently into the spotlight once again when a set of classified documents and recorded testimonies from a former royal security operative were leaked to a parliamentary oversight committee. The contents of these files, while still officially unconfirmed, reportedly include detailed timelines, coded communication logs, and testimonies pointing to Camilla as a key orchestrator, or at the very least an active participant, in a chain of events designed to neutralize what was then seen as a royal crisis. Diana's soaring popularity, her independent activism, and her willingness to speak out against the royal family had, according to these documents, created an existential threat to the image and structure of the monarchy. The new evidence suggests that Camilla was not merely a rival for Charles's affection, but a strategic actor aligned with palace insiders who viewed Diana as a destabilizing force that had to be removed. The implications of such a revelation are staggering. The British monarchy, an institution steeped in ritual, legacy, and historic inertia, rarely moves at the pace of scandal. Yet the response from Parliament was swift. The House of Commons convened an emergency session to address the validity of the evidence and the constitutional ramifications of allowing someone implicated in such a grave conspiracy to retain a royal title. The session culminated in a bipartisan agreement to launch formal proceedings aimed at revoking Camilla's status as Queen Consort. This was not merely symbolic. It was a political reckoning with one of the most controversial chapters in modern royal history. Behind the parliamentary walls, there was a sense of urgency driven by public sentiment. Public opinion, long divided over Camilla's place in the royal family, had tipped decisively in light of the emerging evidence. Protests erupted outside Westminster, with crowds demanding not only justice for Diana, but accountability from those at the highest echelons of power. Signs read, "Justice for the People's Princess and no throne for betrayal," capturing the raw emotion that had been dormant but ever present in the British psyche. The monarchy, for all its gilded symbolism, is ultimately a human institution, fragile in the face of moral outrage and dependent on public legitimacy. Camilla's perceived betrayal cuts deeper than mere infidelity or scandal. It taps into a collective narrative about good and evil, loss and betrayal. Diana, the beloved princess who walked through minefields and embraced AIDS patients when others turned away, had become a near-saintly figure in death. Camilla, by contrast, had spent decades clawing her way out of the shadows, attempting to rehabilitate an image marred by affair and controversy. This new narrative, casting her as a calculated player in Diana's demise, threatened to undo every inch of progress she had made. Within palace walls, the tension was unbearable. Royal aides scrambled to manage the fallout, crafting statements that could simultaneously shield the crown while distancing the institution from the Queen Consort's alleged misdeeds. King Charles, caught between his lifelong love and the weight of his sovereign duties, was reportedly in a state of turmoil. Sources indicate that he initially resisted Parliament's move, expressing disbelief and fury at what he saw as a witch hunt. But as public pressure mounted and even traditional royalists began to express doubt, the king's resolve began to crack. What makes this crisis unique is the convergence of history, personal vendettas, and long-suppressed truths. Camilla's role in Diana's downfall had always been debated in terms of emotional betrayal. Now it was being framed as a tactical maneuver, one that extended beyond the domestic sphere into the realm of state-level strategy. The revelation suggested that Diana's death was not just tragic, but orchestrated, crafted with precision by those who saw her as a liability. Camilla's fury at the unfolding events stemmed from more than self-preservation. She had spent decades building a new identity, attending public engagements, supporting charitable causes, and attempting to mirror the grace that Diana had made appear so effortless. To see it all disintegrate overnight in the blaze of scandal and political condemnation was a collapse of epic proportions. Those who witnessed her breakdown described it as a mix of wrath and desperation. She reportedly screamed that she had sacrificed everything to be accepted, only to be discarded like a criminal without trial. The palace staff, normally tight-lipped, found themselves unable to contain the chaos. Whispers circulated that Camilla had taken to locking herself in private quarters, refusing to attend royal events, and engaging in shouting matches with advisors and even family members. She reportedly confronted Prince William in private, pleading for support, only to be met with a cold, distant refusal. For William, the possibility that his stepmother had been involved in his mother's death was a betrayal too deep to contemplate. What was once a story of scandal had become a full-blown constitutional crisis. Questions emerged over the very structure of royal succession, the legitimacy of royal titles, and the oversight, or lack thereof, of royal conduct. Constitutional scholars were brought in to assess the legality of stripping a queen consort of her title without royal assent. The clash between democratic governance and monarchical privilege had never been so pronounced in modern history. Meanwhile, the public was riveted, consumed by a sense of reckoning. The British media, normally deferential to the monarchy, unleashed a torrent of investigations, op-eds, and special reports. The tabloids framed Camilla as a villainous mastermind, while more serious outlets posed hard questions about the monarchy's complicity in covering up potential crimes. Camilla, once merely disliked by Diana loyalists, had become a national pariah. Her reputation, long the subject of gradual repair, was now demolished in the span of days. The tone of the monarchy shifted. Events that had been scheduled months in advance were either canceled or carried out with a subdued air. The usual pomp and circumstance was replaced by cautious minimalism. Charles appeared at public events without Camilla, his expression grim, his speeches careful. No mention was made of the scandal, but the silence was more deafening than any statement could have been. Every image of him alone stirred speculation. Was he reconsidering everything? Would he ultimately stand with Camilla or with the institution he had sworn to protect? Camilla's supporters, what few remained, argued that the evidence was circumstantial, the result of a smear campaign orchestrated by palace factions who had never fully accepted her. They claimed the timing was suspicious, the leaks politically motivated, and the narrative an exaggerated reinterpretation of old resentments. But their voices were drowned out by a growing consensus that, true or not, Camilla's continued presence on the throne was untenable. The institutional memory of the monarchy was being rewritten in real time. Diana's story, already hallowed in the hearts of millions, now gained a martyrdom tinged with injustice. The idea that her death may have been engineered from within the palace walls was no longer the stuff of fiction. It was now shaping policy, destabilizing leadership, and rewriting the public's relationship with the crown. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Queen Camilla's reaction? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.